Hello, good people. Welcome to Breaking Bread with Big Moon. Today I cooked up some pan-seared pork chops, caramelized apples, mashed potatoes and green beans, and a homemade yeast roll. Let's get into it. Let's see what this pork chop tastes like by itself first. Yeah, how I cook my pork chops, I sear them for a few minutes on each side. It's real tender. That's good stuff. Nobody else does. That's good stuff. Today we are talking about LAT relationships. Living apart together. When I was doing my research on this, on LAT relationships, I was surprised how so many people are, let me try these green beans. Oh yeah, that's money. So many people are into LAT relationships, not just in America, but all over the world. And the LAT is exactly what it sounds like. Your partner lives in one place and you live in another place. But I was thinking, how would a marriage or a couple that cohabitates together compared to a LAT relationship? And there are some advantages and disadvantages to being in a marriage, and there's some advantages and disadvantages to being in the LAT. And let's talk about some of the advantages of being in a marriage or cohabitating together. I think one of the advantages would be just having someone to come home to every day, you know? Having someone to come home to every day, someone to tell your problems to, all that good stuff. The world doesn't beat you down and you can just unload on your partner. That's always a good thing. The number two advantage of being married is that a healthy marriage, a good and healthy marriage, promotes good health. I don't know if that's true or not. I read that in an article, that if you're in a good marriage, it will promote good health, which is, you know, that's believable. And the third thing is financial stability. when you have, when you're dating, I don't know, a few years, and then you, then after a couple of years, if you combine your resources, you can, create a little financial stability for yourself. The fourth advantage of being in a marriage is, and y'all might disagree with this one, but you seem to be treated differently when you're married. Like you're more respected. And I don't mean, I'm not knocking anybody that's cohabitating together. But what I mean is, I remember when I was when I was a young man, and I had a girlfriend and a couple of girlfriends, and I would come and tell my mom that the problem that my girlfriend and I were having, and she always told me to break up with the girl. No matter what the girl, she said, Kevin, this girl's no good for you. Break up, leave her, break up with her. Every one of them, not that I had a lot, but the couple I did have, she encouraged me to break up with them, and cause it was never my fault. It was always the other people's fault, all the girl fault. But anyway, years later, down the road, when I actually got married, and my wife and I were having some of the same problems I was having when I was in a relationship unmarried. And my mother said to me, baby, you got to work that out now. That's your wife now. You married now, like Sugar Avery, I was married now, it was different. Same problems, but for whatever reason, my status had changed, and my mother looked at it a little bit more differently. And let's move on to some of the disadvantages of being in a marriage. The one thing is, when you get married or when you cohabitate together, you lose a bit of yourself. You know what I mean? You lose a bit of yourself. I remember when I was a young man and I was getting some marriage counseling. I was probably about 25 years old. And I was getting some marriage counseling by myself. And the counselor told me that, he said, Moon, you have to learn to redefine your happiness. Redefine your happiness. I said, what do you mean? He said, the things that made you happy as a single man cannot be the same things that make you happy as a married man. And I took that and I was like, there's some truth to that. But at the same time, I still believe that you lose a bit of yourself. I remember, I think it was the other day I was watching this young lady on Facebook, on, one of those blogs. Excuse me. And she said, when you are a wife, when you become a mother, you don't lose who you are. That's what she said. She said, you don't lose who you are. I mean, bless her heart. You know what I mean? She's young. You do lose a bit of yourself. I don't agree with her, but I understand where she's coming from. You try to hold on to who you are, but man, it goes out the window. But that's all I'm gonna say on that. Excuse me. And the second disadvantage of being in a marriage is actually being trapped in an unhappy marriage. Being trapped in an unhappy marriage, for whatever reasons, people stay for all different kind of reasons. Sometimes you just don't have the resources or the funds to move. You just can't do it. Or you might, excuse me, you might stay in a marriage just for the children. Just for the children. And I knew this couple. They was married about 19 years. In the last 9 years of their marriage, they stayed in separate rooms. And not only did they stay in separate rooms, they didn't even have sex for 9 years. And this gentleman, he told me that, and in those 9 years, he never slept with another woman. 9 years. Now, no. And the third disadvantage for being married is, your freedom is limited. You don't have the time you had, when you were, by yourself, or if you're in the LAT, your time is caught up with your family. So some would say that's an advantage. But the fourth disadvantage is having to depend on someone, especially if your spouse or your partner is not reliable, and you have to depend on them, or depend on them financially, or when you have somebody that just, you have one of those partners that just don't have any friends. You know what I mean? Don't have any friends, and man, they take everything from you. Everything. And I don't think you can get everything from one person. But hey, it's not a secret. 50% of all marriages, or marriages in America, in our society, end in divorce. And you might say to yourself, hey, that was a practice run. My first marriage was a practice run. I got this thing down. Guess what? 67% of second and third marriages end in divorce. That number might be even a little higher depending on what website you're looking at and what year. But the chances are even higher. Either way, the chances are even higher the second and third time around of marriage when you think you got this thing, figured out. So I know if I'm a young person, I'm thinking like, and I'm looking at people that's married, and I would say to myself, what is the incentive for getting married? I mean, why would I get married? I mean, the cards are stacked against me, But I know I don't want to be alone. LAT might be ideal for me. An LAT may be ideal. The advantages of an LAT: one, you have your freedom and your independence. You have both of those things. So, if you get up in the middle of the night, want to go to Walmart, get yourself some ice cream and gingerbread pop, nobody will say anything to you. Nobody, chances are your partner is somewhere across town sleeping in bed, and no one's questioning what you're doing. The second advantage of being in a LAT, a living apart together relationship, is, I would have to say, when you're apart for a while from each other, couple, and then you come together, the intimacy tends to be a little bit more stronger. And they say those that are in a LAT tend to have more passion in their, when it comes to intimacy. Ask anybody that has dated a truck driver. My brother's a truck driver. Ask anybody that has dated a truck driver. When he comes home in those 48 hours, it's nothing but love and romance. You know what I'm saying? And just when she's about to get tired of him, he's back on the road. They only have time to fight. They only have time to get it in. You know what I'm saying? That's an advantage for being in the LAT. The third advantage is, which is actually a pretty good one, is that you have no joint financial obligations. I'm going to say that again. You have no joint financial obligations. That means my credit ain't tied up with this other person. I don't have to get anything. We don't have to get anything like a car together. It's an advantage, no joint financial obligations, just like, you're dating someone and, their hot water heater busts, Guess what? You're in the LAT. You don't have to pay for that. They have to pay for their own hot water heater because you have one too, and you're going to need your coin just in case yours get all broke up, you know. So yeah, no joint financial obligations, you know. So that's one advantage. You can keep all your stuff separated, you know, if one has bad credit. It's an advantage of an LAT. So let's name some disadvantages of an LAT. As a matter of fact, if you guys can think of some more advantages, I only put 3 in. If you could think of more advantages, put something down in the comment box and let me know what you think there are some more advantages to being in the LAT. But moving on to the disadvantages. I only have 2. And the first disadvantage is you may not be a part of medical decisions concerning your partner. Do you understand what I mean? You may not be a part of important medical decisions concerning your partner. I remember I had a neighbor, good guy. He had been in the LAT for about 5, 6, maybe 7 years maybe. But we didn't call it an LAT back then. We just called it, you know, the chick he had across town. You know what I mean? We didn't call it an LAT. And he got a phone call that, you know, his woman was in an accident, you know. And just like any partner, he took off to the hospital. He arrived there, he got to the information desk. He went to the floor where his woman was. He goes to the nurse's station and he said, "I'm here to see such and such." And the nurse said to him, it was a sister, by the way, "Well, who are you?" That's what the nurse said. And he said, I'm her man." "You mean you're a husband?" No, I'm a boyfriend." "Oh, well, do you have a medical proxy, sir?" "No, I'm not her medical proxy." "Well, you can't see her. They're in the room right now making some serious decisions because she's seriously injured." So apparently, his woman was not of sound mind to make a decision about a surgery she had to have. He had no say-so. They had been together all these years. If anybody is closer to her, it's him. But that responsibility fell on the next of kin, which he was not. And that was pretty sad. That was pretty sad. And the second disadvantage is raising children. Raising children. Now, how can that be done, you know? I mean, can you imagine, you know, your woman and your man comes to you, you're in the LAT, living apart together, and he comes to you and he says, "Hey, you know, let's have some children together." And that woman, I'm sure she just lights up. His woman lights up and says, "Oh, we're finally going to move in together." He said, wait a minute now. Let's not get carried away now. Now, I want to have children, but I'm not trying to live together. You know what? Let's just table that whole children thing. You know what I mean? Let's revisit that another day because, you know, you're trying to break up this LAT here we got going on. We got a good thing going. The question is, what do I think? What do Big Moon think? Is a LAT better than a marriage? Is a marriage better than an LAT? You know, here's my answer. Here's my answer. If you find somebody that truly loves you and you love them, you all define the nature of your relationship and how you all are going to live. Because love is love. You hear what I'm saying? Love is love. Whether she lives across town or whether she lives with me. That's up for that couple. That's up to that couple to decide. So I guess the answer to my question is, just be with the one you love, no matter where it's at, no matter where you are. So that actually reminds me of a little quote. All I ever settled for is that we were born to live and then to die. And we have to do it alone, each in our own way. And that's why we should love those. I repeat, that's why we should love those who deserve it like there's no tomorrow. Because when you get right down to it, there isn't. Big Moon out.